gospel singers have learned how to control their voices and manipulate their voices in order to belt high notes. They don't scream. They understand that it's not about screaming. They've learned how to develop and control their voices and sing in the mask. They've learned how to sing with the pharyngeal muscles. They've learned how to grow that muscle. They've learned how to sing in the mixed voice and connect different registers in order to reach those high notes. It's not necessarily yelling or going loud. It creates sort of like an amplifying feeling. The muscle and the sound gets larger, but in a healthy way. So understanding how to use your voice properly and learning how to sing in the mix, that's the first step to singing like a gospel singer. You'll notice in gospel music, you can have a really light instrument, a really light voice that can be so powerful if used correctly. They understand their voices, they understand their instrument. You can start in a really light voice. You can start where you are. Don't try to go from here to here. Take it step by step, because if you're gonna try to start yelling and belting and trying to go where you're not ready to, where your voice isn't ready, you're just gonna set yourself back, and you'll hurt yourself. And maybe it'll sound okay on the spot or at that very moment, but it's not healthy and it's not done properly. It's just like going to the gym and trying to be this bodybuilder, and you're just starting out, and then you end up hurting yourself. How many times have we heard about athletes injuring themselves, or people going to the gym and injuring themselves because they're not doing the workouts properly? So with singing, you could start where you are and still do a beautiful job. So if you have a light voice and you learn how to use your voice properly, you'll eventually start to gain a more and more powerful voice. But you got to start from the ground up. So you warm up that muscle by singing in a voice, in a volume where you're most comfortable. I can gain more and more power. I can go from to to but I need to take my time with this, and I need to not push my voice. So you start with, and you try to grow the muscle more and more by pushing a little tiny bit more whenever you feel you're warmed up and it's time. But you never want it to feel uncomfortable. It always has to feel like, I can go a little bit more. I can go a little bit more. So see, I'm adding a little bit more volume, and this takes time. It can take months, okay? And you need to record yourself where you're at today, and keep recording your voice and like every few weeks or so, because we forget the progress. We don't realize the progress. So that's where the power comes in. It's by growing the muscle. You'll also notice that gospel singers sing in very diverse ranges. So 1 minute, you'll be singing extremely low, and the next second you're singing extremely high. So I would practice getting the ear for that. Practice changing notes and keys randomly. The notes don't always follow each other. You can also, I would recommend you study gospel singers. You listen to them, try to mimic. Gospel singers will also end every single note with control. They'll never just let a note just fall flat, or they'll never just let a note end poorly. It's solid till the very end. It's not, they never let go. You hold on to that note and you finish it as precisely and as beautiful as possible. Either with a run or a solid note, whether it's a straight note or vibrato. Usually it ends with a nice vibrato. Hey, hey. See how I ended it with a yeah, not yeah. And a way to practice this is to, if you find that your notes are just ending abruptly and you have no control, you need to focus. So if you're doing this, hey, and it just automatically like dies. You have to force yourself to hold that note. So you'll do, and eventually with time, your brain, I guess, or the muscle memory, it will get used to that. It's just getting your body used to something that it's not normally used to doing. So even if it sounds horrible at first, keep that note for as long as you can, even if it's exaggerated, because you're trying to you're training your brain, you're taking control, you're taking over, and eventually your body and your vocal cords will do what you tell it to do on command. Gospel singers use vibrato. If you put your hand on your throat, that's a straight note right there. But if you do this, that's vibrato. So gospel singers do this thing where they'll sing vibrato, but it's kind of like a sharp. I do that too when I'm singing. It's like a sharp vibrato. You got me. Did you hear how instead of you got me, it kind of went sharp at a certain point? See how my me, it kind of went me. It sounds horrible when you slow it down. You got me. Last but not least, vocal agility and riffs. So if you want to be a gospel singer and you want to sing in this style of music, you need to work on agility and you need to work on riffs.